My name is Sean Michael Walker, and this is Insurance You Indemnify Me. And here today,
excited.
I'm super excited. Charles Mcdade.
Thank you so much,
Charles.
man.
Do people call you Charles, or do they call you Chuck, or what is the thing?
If they know me from football or any other, they call me Chuck. And if they know me from any and everything else, it's always Charles.
Okay.
Just because I want to be respectable.
Yeah, well, it's hard to have respect for you. So
I know it's rough. If you follow me at all on Facebook, it gets real. The respect level starts slowly.
No, not slowly. It's like the first video. It's like
massively cratering.
So funny. The content is so funny, and I absolutely love it. So, do you want to start there?
Oh yeah, we can start.
How much business do you get from the content that you make on social?
Every time we post a video of any type, any kind, 4 referrals.
4 referrals.
Every time.
Boom, just like that.
Every single time.
And then you have a 50% conversion ratio or a 60% conversion ratio or whatever it is.
I'm not at my box store anymore. We're independent.
Right.
It's 80%.
80%. So you know that you're going to land 3 out of those 4.
Oh yeah, no, easy. As long as I don't have to decline them for some ridiculous situations, because
we should tell the world you're in Houston.
Yeah, so I'm in Houston, that gets absolutely. Tricky. In Texas. So every once in a while, hey, Texans like the Texan, and there's some wild things that get into it.
Yes,
like, hey, I'm going to build a barn dominium down by the ocean.
Barn dominiums are the thing right now.
I know, especially during hurricanes. I hear they're great. They're great places to shelter, right?
It's like, let's not go underneath the staircase where it's like really safe and fortified.
No.
Let's go out to the barn dominium.
Let's go to the barn dominium, right? It looks great, right? We'll just end up lighting some campfires and letting it ride.
I used to work in Texas, and I remember flying over Houston after one of the big hurricanes, let's say 2007, 2006, something like that. I'm not from there, so I don't remember what it was. But I remember flying over Houston into their airport, maybe Hobby. Is that what their airport is?
Yeah, well, Hobby and Bush, yeah.
Hobby. So I flew into Hobby, and every single rooftop I could see, as far as the eye could see, had a blue tarp on it, and it was absolutely insane.
I will tell you some stuff with that. It's incredibly fun.
Yeah.
So you came in during 2009. That was after Ike.
Okay. Yeah. It might have been that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah.
It was that, actually. It had to have been Ike.
Yeah. It's like when I've been in insurance for a while. Yeah. So during the 2009 kind of situation. I started in 2010 is when I started.
As a Liberty Mutual guy?
As State Farm for a little bit of time while I was in Louisiana. Okay. Right? That was great. Worked on some CRM stuff, and then headed out, came home to Houston, where my wife is, of course, located. Yeah. So came over there. One of my buddies asked me if I wanted to own a yacht.
How did you convince your wife to marry you?
That was actually.
Was that a hard sell, or was that?
No, it was. I feel like I was sold more than anything. Right, my wife.
She's gonna listen to this.
What? No, my wife already knows. So the situation is, my wife is of course, she's a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Super smart lady, has her PhD or whatever.
Creation of just getting me to, I guess, figure out that I was actually in love with her. Yeah.
Oh, so she was playing mind games.
We were friends in high school. Knew her for some time. Fast forward, and we used to always hang out during the summertime whenever I'd come home.
When you came home,
that kind of situation. So fast forward, my wife, we start hanging out, go eat places, going to go hang out. Yeah. And then she doesn't hang out with me for a couple of days because she ends up going and seeing some family. And I'm like, I think I kind of miss her. This is kind of weird. Like and then fast forward, I'm like, oh no, I think I actually like. And then I ended up asking her. I was like, hey, I think I like you now. She just gets up and leaves. Gets up and leaves immediately.
I'll see you later.
And then I was like, what? Like, no, it's like, I was trying to tell you that, I think I like you a little bit more than a friend. And her response was just, I know. And then just 24 hours later, she was like, all right, yeah, we can start talking now. I was like, what was that? And I was like, I feel like it was a bait and switch mentality. It was kind of weird.
She said I had to think about it.
Yeah, she had to think about it for a little bit. So she's like,
let me just go do this.
We were friends for a long time, and then we started dating in 2009. So about a year before I started getting into insurance. Back when she thought that all salespeople were poor. So that was great. She was like, oh, I'm gonna be a physician, and you're gonna be something in sales. So
you'll just not never make it.
How do you feel about being a stay-at-home dad? And my legitimate response was, and I quote, I don't care what you do or where you go or how much money you make. I will find a way to beat you.
I will find a way to make more money.
I will find a way to make more money than you, and it doesn't matter. And then so she goes into, of course, the goes into residency, which is basically just they're physicians that are already, they got a lot of schooling done, but they're still making absolutely no money. And her response to me was, if you could do me a favor and just feed me, it'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be absolutely fantastic.
And
and I did. Okay. So then after that,
here's a loaf of bread and some butter, babe.
Yes, we're all right. Taking her out to eat and everything like that. So I got on that wagon pretty decently, and then we of course ended up getting married. Finally, after 5 years just dating, we got married in 2014.
Yeah. Cool,
so
very cool. So start State Farm, then Liberty Mutual,
correct.
Then Independent.
Then basically I took 2 years off. Okay. I was at Liberty Mutual for 7, 8 years.
Okay,
7, I think 7 years.
As a captive agent.
As a captive agent.
And did you worked physically like in a Liberty Mutual office?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Yeah, got it.
So I worked there. I started up I was an intern for 3 months, and then they fired me for having a degree, and then immediately rehired me as a sales associate. And then I was a sales associate for a year, and then they turned around. They're like, "Hey, we want you to end up becoming a full-blown agent, right? Yeah, like that kind of conversation." So and the first 9 months of me being my own agent, they're like, "Well, we really don't think you're going to be able to win a lot of awards this year. You only have 9 months." So I won Rookie of the Year, Top Producer countrywide, and then I just decided to dunk on everybody.
I'm going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to win. And then they changed the rules, so I couldn't win my second year, aka my full first year as a rep. They're like, you can't win anymore.
You already won everything.
You already won top producer. Can't win anything else. You'll win your zones though. You'll win the zone awards, but like we're not going to let you win it twice. I'm like, fine, guys.
Why is it rigged against me?
Yeah, it feels good. They'll make rules when they feel like it.
Right.
It is what it is.
So then you took 2 years off to do stay-at-home dad stuff. But what did you do? What did you do?
My wife tried. My wife really tried. It's been a goal for her for a long time, but no,
to get you to stay home. She's like, look, you're just a sales guy.
You're just a sales guy, and this entire house situation. No, it's fine. So I took off for the 2 years to get a little bit of a better idea of just kind of. You've been in insurance for a while. It's kind of hard to see everything that has to do with just business. You get so in this zone of insurance. Look, let's just be blunt. Insurance is like 15 years behind everything else.
Or like 25
right,
years.
25. Well, it depends on where you're located, right? And, I mean, if you're in, Iowa, I'm just messing. So anyway, the conversation is you're about 25 years behind. So
I am so sorry, by the way. Like 75% of our viewership comes from Iowa.
From Iowa. So the whole state is watching the podcast. Exactly.
Then it's a pretty big deal in Iowa.
It's a pretty you understand.
We haven't gotten a lot of traction down in the Houston area, but in Iowa, it's a pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal. I don't know if you heard me. So that's fair enough. I mean, for us, it's 25 years behind all the run.
It's way back.
Makes it extremely difficult to try to affect change if you haven't seen what other businesses are able to do.
Sure.
So for a little while, I actually worked with a company called Paylocity. Okay. So they do like HR, payrolling kind of thing. Yeah. Learned so much from just how they do things, the way they end up lining out their relationships with independent brokers. They work a lot with them and kind of how they leverage technology. So that was a really, really good situation. Then after that, I decided to work for a recruiting company just to kind of I've sold insurance, helped out with that, understand more along the lines of like the B2B conversation through the Paylocity run. Didn't have an idea of how recruiting and all those kind of things ended up working. So worked with the company for a little while to kind of get a better feel of that before I made sure my 2-year non-compete was up, so I didn't have to worry about anything. I see. So it's like, I basically went to college while getting paid to go to college, if you will, to kind of get some of the skills I didn't have before.
In that 2-year time off, which one was like the coolest job that you had in that 2 years? Was it the recruiting one or the Paylocity?
Paylocity was awesome. Paylocity. If you're someone that's really trying to get into that line, they do some amazing things with technology. Absolutely love the company, love their culture, and it was also where you kind of realize like how much culture really does matter, kind of in your organization. Hell, even my old manager.
Don't say hell. Sorry. Again. Everybody in Iowa is like really sensitive towards swear words.
Oh, I know. It's just that HE double hockey stick is the bane of all Iowan existence. So it doesn't get hot.
I'm joking. You can say hell all you want on this podcast.
We'll get it.
You can say a few other words too.
I'm trying to be good today.
No, don't. You can let it ride.
Oh, well, we'll see.
You can let it ride. So who is Charles Mcdade?
Charles Mcdade.
How would you define yourself?
I would define myself as look, I'm an agent in Houston that's working as hard as he can to make sure he builds a legacy for his friends, his family, and those that he holds closest.
You work with, is Spencer your best friend? I mean, is he like your guy, or like I've met Spencer. He's awesome. I love him. He's cool. Man. But like, what is he in your personal life?
He's my life partner, basically. I mean, we roomed together in college.
Oh, so he is your life partner.
Yeah, he's my life partner. We've known each other forever. He's my
your
brother.
ride or die.
Yeah, he is absolutely.
Yeah.
So no, me and him, I was trying to get him to go into insurance forever.
Yeah.
And just kind of like slowly going through it because he used to work in oil and gas.
Yeah.
And man, that's my brother. Like there's no other way to say it. Anything and everything that he needs, however the conversation goes, I'm always there for my man.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I have a crush on him. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I was looking for. You guys are always like holding each other close when you go out.
I have to. You can't look. You got to hold on.
Well, you got to keep him close because you're not sure what he's ever going to do.
No,
and I wouldn't be surprised if he's also keeping you close to make sure.
Oh yeah,
he keeps tabs on you. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah, I'll get lost.
Charles, stay close to me. I don't want you doing something.
I'll
stupid.
fight a bear in a second. Now, as far as for what I think I am, kind of. I think I'm the way you've described it as the third funniest agent.
Third funniest. Let's see.
I mean, I have the bronze medal of podcasting right now. It's like that's where I'm at. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to bring up the past.
I would definitely put you in top 3 for sure.
I
don't know. I don't know.
Almost a participation trophy.
Yeah, I definitely put you in top 3. I mean, that's bronze.
That's bronze. That's great.
On the world stage, bronze is amazing. People go to restaurants to see a bronze medallion hanging from like a Perkins, breakfast eating place.
Thank you. I'm the Perkins of insurance agents.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like Denny's of insurance.
Yes, thank you.
Which
Appreciate
is perfectly fine.
Perfectly
There's
fine.
a place for that.
There's some people that love Denny's. Okay.
So, do you think in any way football prepared you for life as an insurance agent? What did you learn in football all those years that got you prepared for this?
I think that I need to cut off my phone.
That's so unprofessional.
I know, right?
I say that, but on a podcast like 3 podcasts ago, I picked up my phone and was talking to my wife on my phone on the podcast. And I'm like, hey, babe, leave me alone. I got to go. But
so I think whenever it comes to just what it taught me is when it comes like building a team or being around a team, it's much more different than working in the like corporate world.
Yeah.
Like the idea of team from sports is, hey, I'm going to work really hard with these group of people to attain like a common goal.
Right.
We all have to achieve together for us to end up doing well.
Right.
And that was my view of leadership, right?
Yeah.
Leadership is whoever's your leader is the one that you push out there to kind of handle problems, make sure things are squared away.
Sure.
Then you go into the corporate world, and weirdly enough, there's a lot of people that are in management in different organizations one way or the other that are there mostly because they sacrificed those that worked with them before. So it was a very shocking situation for me, kind of working in different places and seeing different things. So whenever it came to actually like opening up my own independent brokerage,
it's an interesting observation.
I love Simon Sinek, and there was a conversation he had where he was just saying like, hey, if Martin Luther King got $1 million, are you mad? Right? If another humanitarian ended up getting $100,000, are you unhappy? It's like, well, then why are you so unhappy at they call them bankers boys. That. Why are you unhappy that banker boys end up making millions of dollars? Right. Like, well, it's because the money signifies like trust and that understanding. It's like, hey, I'm paying you more because I expect for when things go bad for you to take on more responsibility,
right? And more leadership,
more leadership, right? So that has always been my view and my understanding of leadership. Right, that's what it means to be alpha. It's like when someone comes storming your gates, you're the leader. That means that you don't cower behind. You go and you actually do what you need to get done to make sure the people that you're working with and that you're protecting are fine. Yeah. So that is kind of where it changed my view, and I kind of had to learn a little bit more about just how things are done and standard society,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because football is very much of that, hey, if I say I have you, I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Versus I say I have you, and then I do everything possible to like make sure that you can't make a play.
Right.
Because I don't want you to make more money.
Sure.
That's not how.
Or I don't want you to pass me on the ladder. Or
exactly.
Whatever.
I don't want you to pass me on the ladder. I don't want you to sell more than me. I don't want you to do this and this. And it's just not. It's a bit different. But I mean, I would say that it prepared me to be able to understand what that responsibility really means to be in leadership.
It's interesting that this whole conversation already is incredibly interesting because I've heard you say before, like, my staff gets into a situation with a client that they're like, oh no, I'm in a situation. And you're like, I'll step in, I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
And it's like, as the leader, you should step in and take it from there. As the leader of the agency, you should step in and go, I'll handle this conversation. If it's too hard for you, if you're scared of it, if you're not prepared for it, I'll step in and I'll take this conversation and I'll do it.
Yeah, if they're just being mean for whatever reason.
Yeah. But outside of mean, I had a claim, it's not going the way I want, and one of your folks that are with you, working with you, they're like, I don't want to get into that conversation. I've heard you say, I step up and I jump in and I have that conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. We had a situation a while ago where,
which seems like a great thing for a leader to do.
Well, right? it should be the responsibility. I mean, why are you working in leadership if you're not the one that can lead or that can help?
Right.
Something I love that Spencer did for one of our clients. We had a situation with a carrier where it was that weird kind of COVID timeline where a lot of the underwriters and things like that were not exactly full time, for those. So they told one of our clients, "Oh, well, hey, he didn't have coverage for a catalytic converter that was stolen." And Spence immediately got on the phone, looked at his policy, got everything else squared, and was like, "No, you told him on a recorded line he didn't have coverage when he did. So how are we going to rectify the situation?"
Yeah.
It's like he needs to have this stuff done. When I tell you they cut him a check, got everything squared away, and he was out of the mechanic shop within like 24 hours.
Wow.
And that's just a tip of the hat to the carrier. Like they said, "Hope, this was a weird situation with someone that wasn't looking at things correctly. We got it all squared away. Now the person's going to be ready to go." And he was able to actually make it back home since he was in a whole different city at the time. Wow. So it's just a beautiful situation of being able to step up and take responsibility for the thing. Because, I mean, what is insurance except for the promise to be there when needed, right? Yeah. And if we're talking about leadership, isn't that the way that your entire organization should be held?
Right.
Right? It's like our entire conversation is when things go badly, hey, call us, we'll be there.
Right.
And if you don't have that mentality, then you're selling a bad sell of goods. Like you're not coming through with what you promised.
Right.
So that's the difference.
How do you find talent in your agency?
I don't find anything.
Okay.
Like
I've never found
anything. Okay. Everyone in my life has always been someone.
It's like the law of attraction or something.
Yeah, like it's basically.
A lot of people are attracted to.
I like to think that.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like to think that.
Yeah.
But I would say that I'm
not talking about that kind of attraction.
I mean, you could have. I do the best I can with what I have, right? I buff the diamond when possible.
I can see you enjoying the Colorado Rockies behind me.
First off, that is a beautiful. We don't even. It's flat.
Yeah, I know.
And hot where I'm from.
Yeah.
So, but if we have to say what exactly helps me find talent,
sure.
It's
a post on Facebook that says that Harry Styles is so hot right now.
First off, Harry Styles is
so hot right now. He is.
I mean, there's no questions whenever it comes to
fire.
It is crazy to think. I mean, I think that my very positive Harry Styles posts have helped me kind of find, Cortland. She's our office manager, if you will, aka Swiss Army knife of everything awesome that is in insurance.
Right.
But we didn't find her. She was actually a referral
how did she find her?
She was a referral from someone that was a service rep. Whenever I was working at Liberty.
Okay.
And whenever everything kind of came up and she was looking at switching from State Farm, the first thing that was asked was, hey, I have a couple of agents that I know that you can work for, Cortland, and then I have someone else that I really think you'd be great with. Mm-hmm. Now, I have one question that's going to separate which way we go. how do you feel about cussing? And then Cortland said, I feel fine. She's like, okay, well, never mind about these. All right, we'll talk to Charles. It's like, it's fine. It's like, I don't cuss at people. I just cuss around.
It's just part of the vocabulary.
It's just, it's the sprinkles of my conversations normally. So that's how I actually, like, quote unquote, if you would, found Cortland, which is not find her at all.
Yeah, somebody pushed her towards you.
Yeah, so it's I take care of my people.
Yeah.
And Spencer and I have our three main pieces are, look, hire, train, and retain talented people. Something I actually learned from the Paylocity kind of model.
Yeah.
Because if you hire, train, and retain talented people, you have to realize the circle of firing people costs your company so much money.
Right.
So why not just find someone? They're good.
Make sure they're the right person.
You continue to train them, and then you continue to give them the raise from what it would have otherwise cost if you had to go find 3 other people to successfully do the same job.
Yeah.
It's like the transition of, if someone's making 50, 60,000 or whatever the case may be, the transition of finding someone else is double their salary. So you're talking about 120,000 before you're able to successfully replace that person, at least on average, just company wide. So the fact that you can find and help those people kind of reach whatever goals that they have in front of them, that's kind of the only reason people work with me. I mean, if I have to be blunt, it's like I just, when I say I care. They
feel a sense of loyalty.
Yeah, no, when I say I care, like, it's done. Like, there's not a conversation of, do you have to worry about if I'm actually going to do, no, if I told you I was going to do it, I'm going to do it, and that's it.
Yeah, like, so if I worked for you and said, Harry Styles is my entire universe, and he's coming to Houston in concert, and I want to take the whole day off to go geek out over Harry Styles, you'd be like, I care that you love him so much that you should go take this day off and go fool around.
I like, in the current situation, I'm thinking about buying her a ticket for her being
go
able
to
to
Dallas
go to Dallas, go have some fun. And it's one of those things where, look, I mean, think about it. All the money that, companies spend, like, oh, we'll go send you to a spa, we'll go send you to this. And they're spending thousands of dollars on things that you really don't care about. Right? Why not just ask your employees what matters to them and give them the freedom? I joked with, it was one day where I think it was Cortland had I think she was talking to her sister.
I think it's crazy that Spencer loves the ballet as much as he does.
First off, well, Spencer is incredibly flexible.
Yeah, I mean, when Spencer says, hey, Charles, let me tell you what's important to me.
Yes.
It just blows my mind that the ballet is always like the top of mind, tip of tongue, where it's like, okay, I will get you tickets, season tickets to the ballet.
And then he sells it on eBay or something.
I know, it's so weird.
But no, like for Spencer, I mean, his biggest thing is, if we're talking about the comparison of the two, right?
Yeah.
Cortland's very much, look, she's in her early 20s, and the expectation is that she's 20 years old. She's going to do 20-year-old things. She's going to want to go to concerts. She's going to hang out with her friends. She's going to want to hang out with her mother and father or her sister, and giving them the opportunity to do that so that they don't, regret it at 30 some odd, 40 some odd, and they're looking back.
Yeah.
It's like you give them one day of time off today, so that they're happy for the years that they're working with you, right? And my only hope is, look, I've told her on numerous occasions, if she ever gets into a spot where, take that back, rewind. I tell this to everyone that works with me. Yeah. I say, hey, if there's one day you go home, you look in the mirror and you say, hey, I can do all of this myself, which is absolutely true. When it comes to being independent, if you want to be independent, you absolutely have a line to be able to do that. Suggesting to end up going with CIA and PGI, just plug for plug's sake, right? Okay. But if you wanted to go that way, you definitely can. The thing is that I want all of my people to go look in the mirror and be able to say, like, yeah, I know I can do this myself, but I make so much more money and I have so much more fun, like working at McDade Insurance Brokerage Group. Right. Like, that is what I want, because there's nothing else that keeps people any place. Right. My wife is, like we talked about, like a physician. If she doesn't want to be with me, she can just leave. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't hold any higher power on the situation. The only thing that I can do is I make cute kids.
I don't know about that.
You
got a kid your son has a beard on his face like all the time.
My son does have
and
a
he's
beard.
like 2 years old.
Exactly. I mean,
that's not that cute.
This is his 8th time on this earth. Okay, so that's a whole separate. So if anyone's not seen it. Basically, if you've ever seen young, like under 2-year-olds that seem to be pondering the world's existence while he's getting pushed in,
that's like every picture of your
every
kid.
Picture
because
of
he's
my
got this wise beard on his face.
Basically, I'm like, look, man, whenever you're 16, you're going to look 27, and that's completely your dad's fault. And I apologize for that. So no, I mean, basically, the conversation is if you can't be there and successfully talk and align the goals of your organization around your most valuable asset, which is like your people, then you shouldn't be in business for long. Like that's just what the situation is. So whenever it comes down to, getting Cortland some tickets and asking her, it's a lot less expensive for me to get her those tickets than if I was buying $5 Starbucks gift cards every week for y'all got a bind for life. I don't care
about a Starbucks gift card.
She has while working captive, everyone has that box full of random accoutrement that's unnecessary in the world. So it's like I have 200 different like Starbucks gift cards that I just hand out to other clients or whatever. Just ask them what they want, and then you're going to be able to be in a better spot. So that would kind of be my conversation, if you will.
I'm going to ask you a question that is going to get you in a lot of trouble.
Sure.
Okay? You were at the Soup event a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
You watched a whole bunch of performers, I should say a whole bunch of presenters present. You and I were the performers.
Yes. I heard there was some good songs that broke out during that.
What?
I feel like there was some.
I was backstage and Taylor was singing for a little bit.
Taylor. Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
And then one other point, Mike was singing. Before a panel discussion, Mike McCormick was singing a beautiful Righteous Brothers kind of thing.
I would assume that you would know what the song would be. So,
I do. It was Righteous Brothers. It was amazing.
No, I know.
It was the song from Ghost.
Dude, I teared up a little.
I saw a recording of one, and I was like, man, that sounds really good.
It did. I felt like there's Harry Styles, and then there is Shawn Michael Walker.
No. I wasn't the one singing.
Okay, fine.
It was Taylor Dobby and Michael McCormick.
The artist formerly known as...
That's...
Let's do it that way.
Okay.
All right.
So the question is of all of the presentations you saw, who were the 3 best? Let's go in order, 3, 2, 1.
Best in how are we ranking this?
We could. So I can help you light less fires and create less enemies, or you can just have some guts and do it one way. So we can go top 3 from a content perspective, and then top 3 from an emotional perspective.
Okay.
Or we could just go forget it. I'm not going to say top 6. I'm going to go top 3, and that's just how I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I'm just going to light bridges on fire and go top 3.
Watching Chris Paradiso talk about
Chris Paradiso was great.
His tech conversation, just what he does, the unapologetic way that he is absolutely him on Facebook, from just the Patriot stuff that he posts to just being legitimately him. It was like looking into the sun. I
agree.
It was. I started pacing.
I agree.
And I didn't know what in the world to do with myself because there was so much of what he presented on that was a part of kind of my tech conversation that I'm trying to work on. Although, starting the agency in 2020, which was a great idea for me, by the way. Fast forwarding to now, it's just don't have the ability as 3-4 person show to be able to actually, kind of do what he does so far. But when I tell you that was the moment where I guess you see someone dunk for the first time. Right. It was like I didn't even know that was possible.
Chris is so great. And it is like looking into the sun. You hear him talk about marketing, and it's interesting that you say unapologetically Chris, because I feel like when I watch your stuff that you create, the content that you create, it's unapologetically Charles, and it's like, great. It's going to attract people that want to be attracted to the unapologetically version of Charles, right? And it gets you, every time you create something, it gets you 4 clients. Chris is unapologetically Chris. And who cares if unapologetically Chris and unapologetically Charles are 2 completely separate individuals? They attract who they're going to attract, and you grow a business off of that.
The funny part about I had a conversation with someone that was one of my clients. He said, "Hey, do you know why I'm doing business with you?" I was like, "Well, no, I guess pricing." He's like, "This is when I was younger." I was like, pricing." He's like, "Oh, well, taught you about none of that." He was like, "I do business with you because you're sincere." And that's all that I need.
Right.
It's like I know whatever you were saying. you absolutely feel the way that you feel,
right.
and you're willing to back that up. And that's worth more than any amount of coverage, anything that's possibly going to happen. From that day moving forward, it was, look, if you're the worst feeling, especially whenever you're getting into the corporate realm, is people not liking the version of you that you created specifically for them to like, right? It's like, it's
say that one more time.
No, it's the idea of being in corporate America, and the worst thing possible that can happen is that you create this perfect amalgamation of types of beings, and you push that out into the world, and everyone hates you for it, and then it's not even who you really are.
Right.
That is a massive, just
so that you could fit into that corporate ladder or whatever.
It's like someone. It's like first dates, right? And this may sound a little weird. I feel like a lot of corporate America world is just a series of every day is your first date, and every day you're just as tired at the end of the day. Because it's like you're trying to create this individual that you think that they want you to be, but it's draining to try to create whoever that person is versus finding a place where you can be you and you can be accepted for that. So the thing about it is that if I was trying to create content that wasn't explicitly me, then whenever it comes out to them actually meeting me, it's very weird because I'm not that person. Right? So that's what makes it so difficult now, especially with social media, et cetera. Like people are going to find out who you are sooner or later. One way or the other, they're going to find out. So just run into that. Like, if they're going to hate you, make sure they hate you for the actual reasons that they're supposed to hate you. If they love you, make sure they love you for the things that you actually give. And that puts you in a massively different situation. And I love that every piece of his content was explicitly about being the most sincere version of himself, unapologetically.
So good. So was he your number one or was he your number 3?
He was my number one because I feel like I flew too close to the sun and my wings burned off.
Yeah, he's great. He's absolutely great.
My mind melted immediately.
Not only is he great, but here, I got this. So he's got this Be the Last Agent Standing volume. I just happen to have that right over there. So this isn't a plug for that. I didn't even know you were going to say Chris Paradiso, but he creates this thing. Agents get this thing. It all goes to charity. Like he's literally the best. I said this on stage, but he's literally the best version of all of us as independent insurance agents, and he's absolutely amazing. So I'm glad he's your number one.
He was by far my number one.
All right, who's number 2?
Number 2, Malia Rogers. I love. First off, when she talks about building sincere and honest relationships with business partners and to other people kind of in her sphere. The first day we get there, Uncle Ron ends up doing a little get together for some of the agents that came over there to soup. And
I wasn't invited to that, by the way.
It's Ron doesn't. Well, I think Brian possibly was going to be there.
So he's trying to keep it apart.
They're just kind of keep it separate.
Good, because when I get in the same room with him, we start pushing.
There's a lot of fights that happen.
It's bad every single time. I win every single time. But,
it's not. All you got to do is grab the beard.
I know.
It's like he tries to protect it like a baby, so it's fine. But the way that Malia was able to just connect with so many people so genuinely,
I know,
and from the heart, whenever I tell you, so Cortland, to bring her up again, she met up with her, had some conversations with her before she even knew that she was going to be speaking, and just wrapped her arms around her and really kind of changed the way that so many people feel about what creating a positive relationship in business really is.
She actually wrapped her arms around her?
Well, might as well.
So she gave her a hug?
Yeah, you gave her a hug. Yeah, of course. Look, we're not all Sean, and we don't all get into extremely bad situations whenever we put our hands on people, So whether it's Brian or it's other employees, we have to learn stipulations.
I'm so glad that we can edit out however we feel. Because when this is all over, I'm like, cut that out.
Cut that out. Let's not
cut that 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. It's fine.
From minute 38 to minute 41, just cut that whole thing out.
That's fair. So I would say my third.
Okay, so Malia was number 2. Who's
Malia
number
was
3?
number 2. So Chris Birdie, Malia, and then my number 2.
No, number 3.
Number 3.
Okay.
Oh, number 3. Man, I'm in such a weird spot on number 3 because there's so many people that. Oh man, it's look, Jack Jameson did some amazing things.
Yep.
Right, but Miss Atkins,
she did great too.
She did phenomenal,
and it was very relevant to entrepreneurs who are running their business. Yes. It was very poignant.
So I will say, as a complete cop-out, right, I'm going to say that there's a tie for number 3.
That's a cop-out.
And that's, it's going to be a cop-out.
Yeah.
So there's a tie for number 3 for that, just because
Jack Jameson and
I think it was Casey Atkins. Yep. Yes, so Casey Atkins. Just because the way that she talked about running her business, the way that she was able to do it, the fact that she was so giving.
Yep.
And you know what?
Demanding. I mean, that's pretty cool.
But it's sincerely her, right? And I think that's my through line, my thread of consistency throughout everything that I do. If I'm all of the, like, it was, Soup Live was amazing because every single speaker was so sincerely, absolutely them.
Yeah.
Right? And the main reasons why I kind of throw those where those were was because those were my first introductions with all of those people. Because otherwise it's disingenuous if I don't bring up some of the other, speakers that are in it. Just know that I love y'all, and it's not because I'm apologizing.
Yeah,
for my
you are.
views.
So
you see how it goes?
You gave top 3, and now you've burnt like 8 bridges.
8 to 12 bridges. It's fine.
And all of those people are going, whatever, Charles. I hate you, but I'll never shake your hand again.
The thing. They hate
That's
me
what they're
who
thinking.
They hate me for who I am, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, you made some good choices. So, Chris Birdie, so great. Malia was great.
Absolutely fantastic.
And
Jack
Casey was great. Yeah, Jack was great.
Yes.
I didn't expect to cry, but I guess whenever somebody gets up and is like, hey, let's talk about life insurance, and then you're like, okay, let's talk about, stop talking about death and all this kind of stuff. And of course, it gets real emotional real quick. But
as crazy as it may sound, like I actually had to deliver a death benefit check on one of the first 20 policies that I ever wrote within the first 5 months of me actually writing it.
Wow.
It was something that was supposed to be really simple.
Yeah.
It was something that was supposed to be pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, writing a couple policies for my kids. That's all it is, right? It's like, okay, so we're going to write those, not a problem.
Yeah.
Fast forward, there was a altercation at some type of house party.
Oh, wow.
Right? And someone passed away, right? The father completely forgot that he got the life policy because he just did it in the course of doing business. He was prepared to completely go bankrupt to make sure that he did right by his son, which is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
He at the time that everything happens at the funeral home, he hands over all his credit cards and he says, max them all out, do whatever you can for my son.
Wow.
And then they said, no, the life insurance already took care of it. And that was, whenever I actually came to his house to deliver, he said, like, this amount of money doesn't help me bring my son back.
Right.
It doesn't do any of that.
I'm not happy.
It's like, but I'm working in oil and we're in Houston, and my job's kind of been up down.
Yeah.
And there's no way I can achieve or do anything that I need to do right now. And I thought I was going to be losing the house. Like, I thought I lost my son. I thought I lost the house. I thought I lost all the cars. It's like, this is just going to help us kind of
not
see the
Yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
And that changed everything about how I looked at life insurance and what exactly happened with it. And it resonated so strongly with the conversations that Jack had. If y'all haven't had the time, and I'm just throwing this on the podcast, dude, like, find Jack, look at some of the stuff he's done, see any of the times that he's speaking, because it is powerful and absolutely from his heart, and you can tell every bit of that. And I find that to be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Although he was number 3 on your list.
He was number 3 on my list.
Not number 1.
Look,
I'm just kidding.
I love him to death, but like staring into the sun and pulling at my heartstrings. Kind of, it's what for what.
Yep. I get you. Let's jump into a couple things. How do you provide options for your clients, and then how do you document that you provided those options. So just walk me through kind of, I'm your client. This is what's on the table, Sean. This is what we're going to get you maybe. I mean, we're not role playing or anything, but how do you provide me options? How do you talk to me about the options that I have available to me?
A key of any relationship from marriage to business is setting expectations, right? If you buy flowers for your wife every single day on Wednesday,
she's going to expect
20 years, you don't buy her flowers, it is a problem, right? So it's the same thing for business, right?
This is why I never buy my wife flowers,
ever. Which my wife is now going to see this, and she's going to realize why I never bought her flowers. So
I just didn't want to set a bar that I could never have to get achieve.
There's no way that I could achieve it, right? So same thing for business, right? My standard conversation up front is like, hey, my name's Charles Mcdade. I'm the owner of McDade Insurance Brokerage Group. I'll be walking you through all the options for your home and auto just to make sure that we put you in the best situation possible. Now, real quick, I just want to figure out, is it more about price or is it more about making sure that you're covered for the things you care about? Okay? And that expectation right there lets me know up front, hey, is it 100% just they don't want quality at all? Like they don't worry about what, they just want a sheet of paper that shows that they're insured. And by being able to have that conversation early on, you can fire those bad clients off the bat. Because, I mean, if your price goes up by $1, but you know that your family's protected, that's not a problem. But if the price goes up by $1 and the goal is to make sure it's as cheap as absolutely possible, then that's a problem. And a lot of how I built my early business was based on, let me make sure I help them on anything they possibly need. And I was setting all these expectations that were crushing me. So to go back, that would be the beginning of my conversation. They would let me know, it's like, hey, it's more about the quality. You want to make sure things are covered. Great. All right, so hey, so what I'm going to do is I'll take all the information I can, make sure that everything's lined up, and then I'm going to send you over what I suggest, what I would write on my home for my mother, for my father, for my grandpa. Right? Once I end up doing that, take a look at it. Maybe there's some things that I added that you don't really care about. Maybe there's some things that I didn't add that you really cared about. But at least this is our starting point. We can adjust accordingly. And my goal is consistently a 5-star experience. So if at any point in time I fall short of that, I want you to stop the conversation and let me know what I can do better. That's my first 30 seconds.
That's your talk track.
That's my talk track. First 30 seconds.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let me ask a separate question. How are you educating clients through coverages today in this environment? Because, you know, you got supply chain management and you got replacement costs and guaranteed replacement cost and you got this, that, and the other thing. I mean, how are you educating clients through what's happening in insurance today and in America today, if you will, and how to be properly covered and insured today? Like, the question is education. How are you educating the client?
So it's with being sincere to what you actually want to do. Like the mantra and the key phrase of my company is like, hey, McDade Insurance driven to serve, right? We mean that specifically in the conversation. The goal is to be there for the things that you needed us for in the first place. But the only way that you can serve is by understanding what's valuable to that person. I mean, I've talked about it in through lines in this entire conversation, from hiring to buying awesome tickets for a person. It's all about find their through line.
That Harry Styles is
so hot right now.
So hot
right now.
Right this second.
Tattoos in all the right places.
Seriously.
So I'm sorry that had to happen.
I mean, I
have goosebumps right now, just to let you know.
All the right places.
Yes, exactly.
Jeez Louise, that Harry Styles. I mean,
it bottles my mind.
It's got me all worked up.
I don't want to boggle. It bottles my mind.
Yeah, it's just got me all worked up.
So when I'm talking through with clients in the conversation of, you know, replacement costs and educating them, the conversation has to start from true experiences. So something to start off with what you kind of opened the conversation with in 2009, right? Seeing all those blue tarps all over the roofs, right? The specific reason that happened was a lot of policies back in 2009, especially in Texas, were HOA, right? So for example, Allstate still writes very much an HOA home style policy, right? They're great hands in other states. In Texas, they have some gaps in their policy. So when it comes to wind-driven rain, wind-driven rain is not covered. Right? Farmers back then also had a wind-driven rain excluding policy of an HOA. Now, all credit to farmers. They, over the next 3 to 4 years, completely revamped their product offering
to
make sure that
right.
the policy language was right.
Yeah.
But the reason why that you saw a lot of those blue tarps in those situations was specifically because the education wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People assume that if I tell my wife I'm taking her out to dinner and we go to McDonald's, there's a problem.
That
like it's like this is not dinner.
Yeah.
Like so it's creating that same conversation in insurance. Like, hey, it's home insurance. Home insurance is home insurance. No, there's different. It's all when it comes to auto insurance, there are certain things that are definitely language specific for each state.
Right.
But if we're talking about home insurance, there's about 150 different contract styles that you have to walk through. Now, don't get me wrong. For whatever reason, I do this 365 days a year.
Yeah.
Normally, most clients do it every 1 to 2. If you're very conscious in insurance, once to twice a year.
Yeah.
Maybe once when your renewal comes up, and another time whenever there's a hurricane in the Gulf.
Right.
Those are the times.
Hurricane's coming. I wonder what my policy.
I wonder what my policy is going to be. Yeah. So when it comes to explaining and educating, it's being able to explain what is covered and what matters in terms that people care about, right? So when I talk about replacement costs, the conversation I always bring up is, all right, hey, whenever you buy a new car and then you drive it off the lot, how it depreciates immediately. Okay, well, that's actual cash value. Okay, imagine a company doing that to everything inside your house, including your house itself. Is that something that's comfortable?
No.
Like if I bought a television set and the television set you just purchased last week, and it was $2,000.
Yeah.
And then, it's now a used television set after someone stole it, after you try to file a claim, and I'm only going to give you $1,000 for it.
Right.
Is that okay with you? It's like, no. Okay, well, then now, hey, we know we need to focus on replacement cost. We know we need that needs to be a particular part of the conversation to make sure that you're the best covered and in the best situation possible.
Right.
So by being able to bring it not so much down, but just to a level that people understand what is being discussed is the biggest and most helpful piece of that conversation possible. Yeah. So that's what we do on a day-to-day basis is find ways to bring up marriage all the time. The goal isn't to be right. The goal is for understanding. Right? So if you're having a conversation or a
sounds to me like you're married to a psychologist.
It does sound like I'm married, and she's winning, obviously, because I just start having to take all this stuff in, right? So the goal is understanding. Like the goal isn't to win in the argument. The goal is for both parties to understand and maybe agree or disagree. Right. But the goal is the conversation is making sure the understanding is there. And if we're talking about everything in, high-level insurance convos, then it's never going to be understood or matter, right? So I always break things down and say, all right, hey, so you remember when we had the snowpocalypse, the big freeze, where the most amount of claims were paid for water damage in the Houston area ever. We had Harvey, we had, Ike, we've had so many other, none of it has been as bad as Uri was for us in Houston. And I make it a point on every one of our policies that it's like, hey, water damage, water backup, I will not write you a policy without that. I just will not. Like, if that's what you want, I'll give you the names of 3 other agents that are willing to do that. But there's no way. Right, which saved us massively. Because if we would have been writing any and every policy we could have, then that situation happened. We had a client of ours that it was $57,000 for water damage on her home. I mean, you're never getting the trust of that person back if the things that you suggested.
If they have a loss and,
the things that
they lose $57,000.
You didn't think that water damage would occur? It's like it didn't cross your mind that water would go places it shouldn't as a liquid? Right? Water.
That's my biggest fear as a homeowner is water damage.
Because it goes...
It's the only thing I fear. I wake up in the middle of the night like, what is that? Is that water? Is water running through my house?
Exactly. So the conversation is very much around... How can you talk about something that is normally inherently boring.
Yeah.
But it's only boring because people can't see themselves in it.
Yeah,
right? And being able to bring that back to where the understanding is there and that they're able to pull from experiences, that in itself is what really pushes the needle of being able to understand and be able to see what's going on. Like I told them, like, hey, like, you know, are you happy about gas prices? Like, well, no, I'm not happy about gas prices. It's like, well, whether you can see it or not, everything is increasing along with those gas prices. If you want to get a haul of bricks, it's going to cost significantly more to haul those bricks than it used to. If you want anything done with your house, which is why when we're saying your house is worth more, it's because the items that were used to create it cost so much more to end up building and creating as of now. So that is something you have to be cognizant of. Right? And being able to break it down to that level is where real relationships are made, because you're creating expectations and you're putting the onus a lot back on them. It's like, look, I'm telling you, these are the coverages that I would have at minimum, right? If you want to go anything else different, then please understand.
You can go to another agency.
You can go to another agency, but these are my baselines of I have to have this. I'm not going to sell you a 5% hurricane deductible. You can go somewhere else. Because it's disingenuous to think that you're someone that's really price conscious, which means monetarily there may be some things that are difficult.
And then
$30,000 for a hurricane claim later. Yeah, I might have signed up for it at the time, but maybe they didn't understand, or maybe there's it's not worth. Also, like, you know, 48 laws of power. Like, guard your name with your life, right? Like, that is, you have to be able to create and foster your brand. And if you're known as the person that sells crap, you'll be the person that sells crap.
And you'll get the clients that want to be sold crap.
Exactly.
Let's ask, are you good at social media, or do you just create content and put it on social media? So, like, when you watched Uncle Ron at the thing a couple weeks ago, or when you watched Chris Paradiso, were you like, I know what they're talking about, I'm good at all of this? Or are you looking at it going, I just create content and put it on social. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No,
Do you know what you're doing? And if you do, how did you figure it out?
I like to think so. It's look. So
if you haven't seen his content, find his content. It's
Charles
hilarious.
McDade
it's really
on Facebook.
Hilarious.
You can find.
It's irreverent. It might make you upset, but
possibly.
It is hilarious.
So the conversation.
But are you good at it? I'm not saying are you good at making the content.
No,
you clearly are.
Absolutely.
But are you good at, like, how you place it and where you place it and how you place it and buying ads and all this kind of stuff?
So I don't buy ads at all.
Okay.
I don't buy ads at all. And the reason I don't buy ads is because organic is more important than anything else. Okay. And Facebook is going through a weird divide currently on trying to... Long story short, Facebook is unhappy about us flooding it with third-party incorrect data, saying that, oh, hey, this person really loves mugs. No, they're just one list out of like 7 billion that I purchased that I just want to sell this mug to. And that causes lower watch time, right? So it's something you have to be consistent and thoughtful over. Now, if we're talking more specifically about like marketing and advertising, like that's what me and Spencer went to school for. We're marketing and professional sales. Yeah, we were football players.
Just kidding. I just offended.
You know, like
a couple people.
Look, I lost brain cells to give you this content.
I'm joking.
So that's absolutely true. So we went into that situation and we're able to look at what content's being created and understand why it's being created. So the biggest example I'll give you is like, hey, have you forgotten who sells the Big Mac?
No.
Like, why haven't
McDonald's
you
sells the Big Mac.
Why haven't you forgotten?
I don't know, because they've pounded it into my head over and over and over and over and over and over.
When's the last time that you got a Big Mac?
I haven't bought a Big Mac in 25 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but in 25 years, you still
remember who
makes the Big Mac. So, McDonald's doesn't advertise because they think you forgot about what they do and what they do very well. They advertise because they want to be the last thing that you saw and the last thing that you remember before you got hungry.
Okay.
So when it comes to creating marketing, the goal is to be remembered.
Yeah. So
right?
I want to remember the last funny insurance agency that I saw.
But it's not even funny. It's the only insurance agent you can think of, right? Because
I'm going Charles Mcdade. That's the only agency I can think of because it's so funny.
So watch this. So a couple years ago, and this is something that working for my mothership of Liberty Bibberty.
Yeah.
They've changed their marketing style many times.
Yeah.
At early 2000s, it was very much like, hey, get the coverage right. Sad. Let's really kind of push on those particular strings.
Yeah.
They made a transition to where they started being a little bit more funny.
Yeah.
Right. Still with the visual of the Liberty statue in the background. And then they've transitioned entirely away from that to an emu and a cop that runs around and pal around together.
Yeah.
The question is, why did they do that? It's like the answer is because it's not memorable to be the insurance company that covers people.
Yeah. They want my 5-year-old singing Liberty, Liberty, Liberty,
exactly.
Liberty.
So
that's what they want.
The goal
they want all of
remembered.
our children singing that song.
Exactly.
So when the mom and dad are going, I need insurance, they hear their little 5-year-old going, Liberty, 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 Liberty. And they're going, yeah, you're right, kid. I'm glad
the goal is the remembering, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in a spot where you're looking at all the content around you as someone that's an independent agent, and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to make videos about how much you're paying and how little you should be paying and how you're not covered correctly. You are the same white noise. That's like me starting up a supplement company promising to make you lose weight. It's like, okay, which one is
it? Doesn't matter which one.
Yeah, because they all do it, but I don't remember any of them. So the conversation has to be, look at your surroundings, look at what currently works, and this is something that I got from Spencer. He's like, look, we're going to take what they spend billions of dollars on, trying to be funny, trying to be memorable, and we're going to do it better and faster than they're able to do it, which is the plus of being independent. I am in a speedboat. Y'all are piloting the Titanic. It takes y'all 20 miles to turn around. Okay? We don't have that problem. We can just post the content and make sure that it is absolutely memorable. But that's also the reason why every time we post, we end up getting 4 referrals because that's what works. We're the last thing that they saw, the last thing that they remember. And even in the time frame that they don't like something that we posted out of fear of whatever the Facebook overlords believe, right? The metaverse. They remember that, and because they remember it, they're more likely to, when things do occur, take a stop off. Give Spencer a call, give Charles a call, give Cortland a call, and be able to kind of move that needle in the correct position. So if you're watching what is social media and what is marketing content now, the idea that it is anything more than being memorable and being remembered at the right time, it is just that. And being able to create that organic sphere without having to push it in front of people that it wouldn't resonate with, right? I'm not going to pay for an ad that's a little bit more risque, right, to go in front of people that wouldn't value that same, right? It's like, so for example, if you're making content for Facebook, that content can be very different. It can be the rainbow of flavors. It can be educational. It can be thoughtful. It can be this. It can be that. But whenever you're doing it for Instagram or you're doing it for TikTok or, on my page is very much, that's my communication. That's what makes what I do beneficial, and that's what makes what we're doing work. Is because I understand what it is that I offer well, and I understand how to be remembered. And I use those two to benefit the agency and those that work around me.
I wonder if you should start a whole new series of videos that is like, I'm married to a doctor, so I have some credibility. and then just launch it from there. And then have Mr. T show up and have him be like, I'm married to a doctor, so I have some credibility.
Mr. T. Leverage my wife's education for my benefit. Okay, great. This is it.
I have credibility because I married a doctor.
Hello, my name's Charles Mcdade. My wife is a physician. Let me talk to you about your insurance. We'll make that happen. I'm pretty sure my wife will be like, it's like, what?
What?
It's like, no. It's like, he's the guy married to the doctor,
I'm talking to all of you doctors out there.
Yes, exactly.
Because I'm married to one.
I'm married to one, and it is surprising.
All right. So let me ask, funniest story ever in insurance.
Funniest story ever in insurance.
But wait, before I ask you that one, Liberty Mutual, how did they prepare you for life as an independent insurance agent?
Some of the best training I've ever had in regards to, I mean, hell, they've moved to the independent model now with Comparion, right? So whenever it came to Liberty, very much they do find great talent. They pay well. If my goal was to make as much money as I possibly could to support my extremely expensive doctor wife, and from that situation.
Well, remember, the goal is to make more money than she is. It's just, I'm going to beat you. No matter what you make, I'm going to make more.
So we did that for a good number of years, and Liberty was great. I mean, there was a lot of great information, a lot of good training, a lot of better understanding, and a consistent push of knowledge towards you as far as what's going on in the industry. Now, whenever we're talking about going towards the independent line, Liberty Mutual can sell multiple policies now. So they can sell, your 20, 30 other different companies depending upon the state that you're in. And now, you really understand what it's like to be independent. Don't get me wrong.
It's not independent.
It's not independent. Right? It's not the same contracts. It's not the same pricing.
It's not the same
product. All right? So there's a lot of things that...
in many instances.
In many instances that are assumed, right? But once you start delving into it, there is a big difference from being, progressive, base tier and a progressive platinum agent. There's things that are beneficial. Just like if you're going to get you're going to the United Airport and you're a United Platinum member, well, then there's some benefits that go along with that. Same situation whenever it comes to, you being independent and aligning yourself with the right companies. So Liberty's getting more into that. So they're doing some great training whenever it comes to preparing agents to make the transition.
So you love their time there?
I love my time there. I feel like it taught me a lot. And it had me question a lot that if I didn't have, I would not be able to run my business the way I run it now. And it also taught me to value things that I normally didn't value. Being able to now kind of post what I want to post that is more authentically me. It allows me to be happier day to day because I'm not having to fight this other person that I don't really need to push out there because it doesn't market itself along with a particular brand. Because whenever you're working at Liberty, you're going to have to post things that coincide with their brand. And if you don't, well,
here's
then
our
that's
library of stuff you're allowed to post.
It's like, and then if you go outside of that, well, you better have a very specific reason or have the signatures of a couple of people that really matter. So if you're asking my time there, great, love it, made a lot of money.
Prepared you well
prepared
for
me well. It was just the tipping point was looking at my check and realizing that I needed to
that I'll never make more than my wife.
No, we're not going there. It was up until I can't pass it to my kids, man. It's like, look, everyone says that they want their children to be better than them, right? And I absolutely do. But statistically, the chances of that are slim. Like, it's hard. Like, how can every generation possibly be absolutely better than the last person that was there, right? My goal is for my kids to be better than me, but my goal is for them to not have to be better than me just to live a decent life. Right? And that's what legacy is, right? You're able to pass something down to where if they absolutely achieve more and better, well, then they take that baton and they run it further and farther. And if they don't, well, they have a positive situation where they're able to live their life. And that's what independence really brings to me. I find that to be a beautiful situation that I can't wait to pass down to my kids, to Spencer's kids, to those around me that mean the most.
Okay. We're going to knock out like 5 more questions, and we're going to tighten this thing up. Okay?
I can rock and roll that.
Funniest story ever.
All right. Big Daddy.
What's Big Daddy?
Big Daddy. I get a call while I'm leaving Liberty to go grab some lunch.
Okay.
Guy ends up saying, "Hey, are you the guy that's been calling my wife the last couple of weeks?" I'm like, well, if she's been shopping for insurance, I absolutely am. He's like, I like you, son. I like you. I like that. I like that answer. All right. So, hey, let me walk you over these policies. Let's go through it. And then now that Big Daddy's involved, we're going to get this here done.
That was the name he gave himself.
That was his name that he christened himself with. Right.
Okay.
So we go through. He has a brand new Jeep, brand new truck, and he's not listed on the policy. Right. So we go through everything.
I'm sorry, Big Daddy, your wife hasn't said anything about you.
Exactly. So up until this time, this is my first time noticing that there was a Big Daddy out there.
Yeah, right.
But I assumed as much.
Yeah.
So my conversation with him was, I was like, well, hey, I see that you're not listed on the policy, but I also looked it up, and you don't have a driver's license either. So, like, hey, if you want to be chauffeured around, Big Daddy, it's your right and your responsibility. Right. It's more than fine. He's like, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I like, doing a full thank you so much. So, hey, since you were able to go and answer all my questions, get everything done for me, call my wife tomorrow morning, okay? You know what? Call her in 5 minutes from now.
Okay.
Talk to her about what's going on. She'll be ready. She'll give you the routing account number. But you have to do me a favor. I was like, okay, well, what's Big Daddy? What can I do for you?
What can I do for you, Big Daddy?
He says, what you can do is like, hey, I bought all these cars.
Yeah.
So as a man in the South,
you
got to just ask for me. Why can't I mow my own lawn? I have a riding lawnmower, Charles, and I need you to understand my wife never lets me drive it. I need you to ask her whenever you call her.
Why won't you let Big Daddy?
Why won't you let Big Daddy mow his own lawn?
Okay.
Why? I was like, you know what? Not a problem.
Yeah, I will do that for you.
So fast forward, I end up giving her a call in 5 minutes. She's like, oh my God, he loved you. Like, I know he's a little bit, kind of weird.
Yeah.
But hey, Big Daddy like that sometimes. And I was like, that's fair. I understand. Big Daddy can be however he wants to be.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, well, hey, but she's like, all right, have my routing and account number ready for you. I'm like, okay. But before we do that.
Before we take this payment.
Real quick, he seems to be a very supportive and loving man. Can if you can, just for me, can you allow him the opportunity and the responsibility to mow his own lawn? Silence. She cussed me out.
Are you serious?
15 seconds and hung up the phone.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
And that was the last time you ever interacted?
No. She cussed me out. Done. My manager comes over, right? He looks at me. He's like, Charles, what did I tell you about playing on this phone? What have I told you? Every time, it can't just be a sale for you. It has
you
to
always
be,
have to screw around. Somehow you got to screw around
doing this stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. Like,
the guy told me to.
The guy told me to. Look, you tell me what you want. I do the best I possibly can.
I'm trying to close the policy.
I get an email the very next morning
from Big Daddy at yahoo.com
from his wife.
Okay,
she's like, hey Charles, I just wanted to tell you I apologize for my actions yesterday. It just feels like this happens more and more often the further and further that we get in our relationship. And it just sucks because he always makes me out to be the bad guy. And I'm just tired of it, and it's not your fault. Big Daddy has been legally blind for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And the last time I let him mow the lawn, I had to use that Jeep and pull his riding lawnmower out of the ditch. So I'm sorry, but it just makes it feel like it's consistently my fault. So the routing numbers are
here's the policy. We're ready to go.
I'm like, all right. So I send that over.
Did you know Big Daddy was legally blind?
No, because he didn't have
a driver's license. Right.
So it's like, all right, so it was fine.
Yeah.
So I call him back and I said, hey, Big Daddy.
You didn't tell me you were blind?
So you're blind as a bat, huh? He was like, well, son, see, you didn't ask. You just wanted to assume. And I said, well, true enough, fair enough. I kind of had that one coming. He's like, damn right you did. But hey, dude, hey, I like you. I like you, boy. I really do. And I'm like, fair enough.
Whatever, Big Daddy. All I care is I made my $458 on commissions.
Hey, and so
goodbye.
That was one of the funnier legally blind
insuring
situations.
A legally blind guy.
Yes.
And having his wife ask. Have you ask the wife if he can drive the lawnmower?
If he can drive the lawnmower. Just as a man, can he mow the lawn?
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's mine.
It's about time we get some funny stories in here.
Thank you, Charles. I have a couple of them.
No more. Who's your favorite carrier and why?
My favorite carrier.
I want you to burn bridges and tell everybody who your favorite carrier is and why.
My favorite carrier would be Openly if they sold in Texas, but they don't.
Oh.
So, I mean, they get burned immediately.
One of these. Did.
Whenever they start, I'll be so excited. They don't do it yet.
Think they do.
No, they don't do it
yet. Why? I mean, how do you know you love Openly if you've never been able to sell with
I
Openly?
have done my good fair share of research and enjoy their product, and also the fact that the person that that's actually their vice president, they actually used to be working for Safeco prior,
What's
or
that
Liberty
guy's
Mutual. Not 100% sure right now.
Leon.
Leon. Okay, got you. I have no idea. We're just going to ride it if that's where you want to go. I'm just going to assume that you're 100% right.
I think I am, actually.
All right.
I am close. If it's
You're close.
not Leon, it's very close.
All right,
but
so
I think
let's say Mr. L, just so that we cover multiple bases.
I have it on my laptop right over there. We could have that answer in a second.
So
but I know for a fact the gentleman I'm thinking of worked at Liberty Mutual.
Yes.
And,
so the way the product is created is very much similar to that conversation, and I already love that. They use a lot of analytics and kind of Google information to build into getting some things done. Absolutely love that.
When are they coming to Texas? They're coming soon.
Praying.
They've got a lot of investors kind of throwing a lot of money at Openly, so they'll be in Texas soon.
They'll be in Texas soon. I'm absolutely sure of it.
Yeah.
So whenever it comes to my actual favorite, man, as much as I wish it was someone else, Safeco, man, I love Safeco.
Safeco's
I
great.
love, like, especially for Texas, the fact that we're able to insure gun owners without having to go too crazy on like their coverages and trying to add things on there.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm able to kind of expand their coverages, I can cover up to coverage, coverage E for anything and everything that has to do with guns.
Yeah.
So that is massive for someone that's insuring in Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
Matters. So yeah, Safeco is my favorite.
Are you saying there's a lot of guns in Texas?
There's a lot of guns in Texas.
Like more than average?
I would say slightly above Iowa.
I would say slightly above 15 guns per household.
Yes. Well, the conversation is 90% of guns are like owned by people that own more than 15 guns.
I actually believe that.
So it's like there's a they call them super owners,
oh,
right?
I've never
so
heard
anyone that owns they consider the baseline number of anyone that owns more than 15
is
you're considered a super owner.
Oh, I've never heard
right? And when you're dealing in Texas,
I'm like counting up in my head how many I own.
It'll be under 15.
Oh, yeah, it's
absolutely
mine's
under 15.
Way under 15.
Yeah, mine's way over 15.
Yeah.
So my conversation is that because that's my hobby, I need to have people that insure my hobby correctly. Mm-hmm. So I do everything I can to make sure that I have products that allow that to happen.
How come you don't you don't ever make content that is like built around your hobby, like gun ownership?
Yeah, well, it's because I
assume you don't want to shine a light on that.
I don't want to
But I would think shining some light on it would be good for customers finding
It's hard content-wise.
I agree. Yeah.
In especially in the metaverse kind of conversation where guns are not really tiered in the same way.
Yeah.
On top of just immediate one-off look before kind of getting to know me, the conversation can get weird, right? And I might be pushing a narrative that I don't want to push.
I see.
Right? So it's more of a nuanced conversation. I mean, I can definitely make content in that regard, but it's very difficult for me to figure out how to walk the line.
Maybe
in
it'd be
15
better
seconds.
to write that content as opposed to video that content.
Yeah, you know? I think so, but I think there's so much. Blogs have turned into video content.
Yeah.
And I need to lean myself into that. I just don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah, the right way to do it.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Okay, cool. So favorite carrier, Safeco.
Yes.
Because they take care of your hobby well.
They take care of my hobby and my fellow Texans to the best of their ability.
Got it. Cool. Very good. Proactive outreach to clients at renewal or reactive outreach to clients at renewal?
Expectations. Again, my conversation from the very beginning was, hey, if you switch every 6 months, every year, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your insurance score.
Yeah.
My recommendation is, look, every 3 years, unless something crazy happens,
I'll reach out to you.
I'll reach out to you. Right? And so I set that expectation early, and those that abide by that expectation are going to get all of my attention.
Yeah.
Right? So because I set that expectation, it helps them not assume that every year it's supposed to be cheaper than what it was before. Right? Which has actually massively helped us out since this is our second full year, right? And then next year is going to be when we're going to have to be reaching out to kind of our original set of clients. So by doing that, they're not surprised that, rates go up. But when they do, if you're there for 3 years, we're able to dip into the fact that you get a discount for the longevity of being with the particular client and customer.
Right.
Yeah. So I set that expectation, and the goal is to be able to reach out to them after the expectation's been met. Or in case anything crazy has happened, like they just don't have a policy set up or something weird occurred.
Okay, cool. So. Tech stack. What's your tech stack in your agency?
Top to bottom?
Sure.
All right. So tech stack would be... agency elephant, number one. And then,
do you know Brian Blair?
I know him. He's a good guy. I feel like how you're breathing though.
I can't stand him.
But he's solid. He's a solid.
I don't know about that.
Matt Hahn. It's like I know that there's a thing there. Y'all getting a tussle consistently.
No, Matt's great.
But like,
but Brian Blair.
Brian Blair, he's backup now. Like so now it's Matt Hahn giving you the figure eight leg lock. You know, just over here, just getting you in that sharpshooter, and then you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
So agency elephant kicking off and rolling, right?
Yep. That's your CRM.
That's my client communication tool.
Okay.
Right. So outside of that, of course,
that's how you automate.
That's how I automate my conversations with clients, etc. So of course, you know, we're using Easy Links for the rater. Then we end up having Canopy, which is my favorite deck page importer, deck page finder.
Oh, okay.
They've been amazing for me so far. Had a lot of fun, helped them out building some of their Zapier integrations.
Canopy does what?
Canopy looks at Canopy allows your clients to log into with their username and password and then send you automatically all the data from their deck pages automatically.
So that you don't have to ask them
all the questions. So I don't have to ask them all the questions. So instead of me saying, hey, I assume this is as good as what you currently have.
Yeah.
No, we know exactly that it is as good as what you have, if not better.
Yeah.
So it gives us that opportunity to T-chart someone's policy, someone's coverages to put them in the best situation possible.
Gotcha.
It helps us move big policies a lot faster than they would otherwise because there's some confusion. Not everyone knows what their policies mean.
Sure.
And you'd be surprised how many times people are comparing coverages that they actually don't even have.
Okay.
Right, saying like they're a company that has blue, there's synonymous with blue tarps. Yeah. Well, now we're able to walk through that in a more black and white kind of conversation.
Okay, got it. Canopy.
So Canopy's awesome. Then you're also talking about Xylo. I use Xylo. I'm not going to tell you what they do. You either look them up or you don't. Okay. So it's fun. Then we also, of course, use Easy Links as our rater. Talked about that a little while ago.
And your management system.
And my management system. And then we also use Insurance Splash as our website creator. Then we also use TacoBot for everything that has to do with incoming messages from Facebook, LinkedIn. Well, not LinkedIn, sorry. Instagram, Facebook, or our website. It's able to end up generating that conversation.
Now that guy's a genius.
CJ is fantastic. The way that he was able to speak over the last and then I didn't realize it was his first 2 times speaking.
Yeah.
But he understands when we talk earlier about understanding what you do well enough to be able to explain it in a way that makes sense.
So simplified that everybody gets it.
He is fantastic at that.
I agree.
And breaking that barrier of a lot of people being scared of what of what the tech conversation can lead into, what API is,
I totally
and being able to break it down to where people feel more comfortable with having the conversation. I feel like he's going to do leaps and bounds for the insurance sphere of being able to get more nerds in insurance.
Yeah.
Like we need it anymore.
Like we need more nerds.
Like we need more nerds.
Yeah,
right. So those are kind of like my biggest heavy hitters as far as for movement goes. Let me see here. I think that's most of kind of the day-to-day, week-to-week. I use PickSniplet for some stuff here and there. I use Zapier or Zapier, depending upon how you want to say that, to tie things that wouldn't normally talk together. And then all of my email is done through G Suite.
Okay.
So that's basically my tech stack, but I just make it work in weird ways.
Yeah. What is PickSniplet?
PickSniplet. I got that actually from CJ.
Sniplet?
Yeah. So what it is, it allows you to put some information from, let's say, your CRM into a visual document. So you can change, basically, if you're by a whiteboard and you have someone's name on the whiteboard, you can change that depending upon who you're emailing, and it will just automatically change for you instead of you having to go in and redo it yourself. So that's just massive. It was it's a lot of fun to make things that are normally not as visual more visual.
I see.
Yeah, so it's very, very good. We use that all the time for our review posts when people post reviews for us.
Yeah. Last question. What would you tell younger Charles?
That I need therapy. It's like
it's very clear. It's very clear. Within the first 5 minutes of chatting with Charles, you're like, this guy needs therapy. This guy's not well.
I'm not the best. I'm working a lot.
Well, fortunately, you're married to a person who can help.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to.
I wouldn't help you.
It's.
I wouldn't help you. She's like, no, I'm married to you. You need to go find an outside source to work on.
Like I have to deal with you all the time. Find someone else to do this.
Okay.
So
you would have told younger Charles, go sooner. Go get somebody in your head.
Someone in your head massively sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of grew up in early on kind of split up parents, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My grandpa and grandma and my mom kind of raised me for like the first 11 years. Then my stepdad kind of walked into my life there afterwards. But there was just a lot of things of being able to understand your own motivations and understand who you are in a confident way. If I was able to, like, this is me learning who I am and being confident in that, I think in a relatively quick fashion. I mean, I'm 33, right? Yeah. But it took a little while to be confident in that and to be to understand that. And I think if I would have done that a little bit sooner, it would have been better. Yeah. But that would be kind of my advice to younger me, right? Yeah. As blunt as I can possibly be, although not insurance related.
Yeah, sure.
Very much
but figure yourself out faster.
Yeah.
It's tricky though. I mean, you got 22-year-old anybody is gonna go, I don't care who I am right now. I don't. It's the introspective question doesn't even really come up until later when you go, okay, I'm becoming something. Who am I becoming, and what am I becoming, and am I becoming the right thing?
But I don't even think that it's the introspective question. It's like, what really matters to you?
Yeah.
I'm not even asking who you are yet. I'm just saying what matters and why does it matter?
Yeah.
What inherently matters to you? Yeah. And I think that that's a quality that I bring to my agency. I really want to know what matters for the people around me. Yeah. And I want to know it fast enough so that I can be there. I can either know that I can be helpful in that regard, or I know that I cannot be, and I can ask them to kind of go look around and try to find someone else that can help.
Sure.
So it's just be introspective on just what moves and shakes your soul.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, I think that the world opens up in ways that you can't possibly imagine.
Yeah. Cool. You want to say anything else?
I want to say thank you for inviting me to the podcast, my man. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I've been dying to get you on here ever since we started this. That you go through this magical list of people you want on the podcast. And Charles was like, from the beginning, it was like, we gotta get Charles on there at some point. I got to get the third funniest guy I know on the podcast at some point.
I got to get the Denny's of agents on this podcast as quick as I possibly can.
Maybe the McDonald's of agents.
I'm moving up.
Maybe well, I don't know if that's...
I don't know. They just, that's a different situation.
Yeah, but it was a pleasure having you. I'm glad you got here. I'm glad we got you here. I'm glad you jumped on, and I'm glad you spent some time with us. I think you dropped some serious knowledge bombs. Smile at the camera, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks.
Man.
Bye-bye. Premier Group Insurance is providing this podcast for informational uses only. This podcast should not be relied on as legal or medical advice. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Premier Group Insurance. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply any endorsement to them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by Premier Group Insurance employees, i.e. Sean Michael Walker, are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of Premier Group Insurance. Copyright 2022. Premier Group Insurance, Inc. All rights reserved.